Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Victor's here. Today we have Shadow Empire here. This is a very interesting survival game that it's going to put us in the future, but it's a very dark future. It's not the bright one. It's pretty much a moment in which there's going to be a cataclysmic event that is going to fuck everything up, and then you're going to be alone with a bunch of people stranded in a very far away planet. The good thing is that, talking about the mechanics, the game allows us to create completely randomly generated planets. So it's going to be something like you're going to select some options. So for example, you can go and say, I want to have a nice planet with no aliens, and I want to have a planet that has a lot of hazards. And you can even tell a little bit of the tilt of the planet, the way the planet moves. It's a very deep game that it's going to simulate these things on the game, and this is going to work for you either to make your life easier or worse in the fact that you're going to survive these environments. That is pretty much the easy explanation of what is Shadow Empire. Eventually, it's not that you're going to build an imperial force and you're going to conquer the galaxy. It's pretty much you're going to survive. So there's no great empires apart from the fact that the actual people that you are going to lead and the actual faction that you can virtually create is an empire, so to speak, but perhaps just in your head as the leader of the actual area. So for this video, I have already created a planet. It's more likely a moon. It's not a planet, but the moon resembles a lot to our moon, our actual moon. So we have here something that I have already done, and with that explanation, if you haven't heard about this, it's very interesting. So I am playing with the V1.21 Shadow Empire Planetary Conquest plus Oceania DLC. So this Oceania DLC is the latest expansion, if I'm not mistaken. You can go to Steam and check that out, and it concerns the ability to create planets that have a lot of water. Okay, so I'm going to see you on the map, which is the actual map of the moon. See you there. Okay guys, welcome to Enerio Dominus, the moon. Pretty much the same as our moon. We see a lot of craters here. We see roads over here. Now, there is some areas like these. For example, we have plains that are rocky plains. We have as well over here in front of us to the north, we have sandy plains. And there's a lot of things to take into account. So far, we're going to begin this, and eventually, I'm not going to explain how do you do things, but we're simply going to enjoy this. But obviously, I'm going to explain some important aspects of the place. First things first, we see this is our troops, the people that are armed. So we are pretty much a guy that just begun its term as a supreme commander of a city called, the city is called, let me show you here, because here we can see hide map labels. Hide units. The city called is Polymer. So we are on the city of Polymer. In this city we have a lot of things that I'm going to show you here, but before showing you the things that we have on the planet, I'm going to show you how much people are in Polymer. So this is the zone of Polymer with 36,200 populace, meaning that we are going to lead our 36,000 populace into complete oblivion and extinction, or we're going to grow a very nice and beautiful basically autocratic and very totalitarian community. So I have decided that I will become a very totalitarian, autocratic leader. That evidently there is nothing wrong in this, because we are stranded God knows where in the universe, in a planet that is completely hostile to us. How hostile is this planet? I'm going to show you real quick here. So here we have in the reports, we have the planet statics overview. Here we're going to say hello to our friend. The author of this report is Damian Oram. He is our secretary. So we're going to give thanks to him to this overview. So the planet is called, well, actually the moon is called Enerio Dominus. Now, there are some things that we have to take into account here. For example, there are no biohazards at all. The respiratory hazards is because the actual planet is toxic to us. So we are, it says, EnviroSuite, whatever it's called, the EnviroSuite is advised. Now, it's not advised, it's mandatory, because you cannot breathe the actual air in this place. Okay, now let's see. The atmospheric toxicity and the terrain. How is the terrain? It's extreme, and the terrain plants die. So basically we don't have plants. Alien nutritional toxicity level 4, no nutritional value. There is nothing that we can eat on this planet. The rain scarcity is level 4. There's no rainfall and no moisture at all. Oxygen scarcity level 4. There is 0 oxygen. So you're pretty much dead if you don't use your helmet. Then you go for plant development levels. There's no plants on the planet, and there's no geological activity. Has been dead from the last this amount of years. It's pretty much absurd, the amount of years this place has been without geological activity. Now here in the agricultural crops detail, this is something that is going to be very interesting for us, because the planet, the moon, Enerio Dominus, has an ideal temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. This means that lowest than 20 degrees Celsius, you are going to have reduced production, and higher than 20 degrees Celsius, you're going to have as well reduced production. But higher means 30 degrees Celsius, because the maximum is 60 degrees Celsius, that above the 60 degrees Celsius, there is going to be no production. Now, why is this important? Why is this important? I'm going to tell you why. Because here we can see that it says winter, the year is 351. So it's this year is the year of the season 1 of 5. And we are pretty much... it says that this is Earth year 8275, which is telling us which is the actual year of these futuristic societies. So we're in Polymer, and here we see in Polymer, we see a lot of important things. First things that I'm going to show you are the assets that we have in Polymer. Number 1, we have the High Command Bunker. This is a public asset. The other assets are private. I'm going to explain a little bit about this. Now, take into account that I'm not an expert. I have made one match before this one. This is my second match. But with the first match, I think I have played enough to have a little bit of a feeling and a little bit of an understanding of what we can do and of what we can expect. Now, it's deep, it's difficult. You have to see a lot of tutorials, guides of you have to read the manual that is huge. So you see here the High Command. This is where we live in, and I'm going to show you the members of our government in a few seconds. Over here we have the city farming dome community, and because of the toxicity of the actual moon, we are not able to grow plants on the actual ground, so we have to use these farming domes to be able to create food. And if I click here, you're going to see that we have the farming dome community. There are different levels or tiers. We have the second one, and they have, of course, construction cost for credits, and they are going to give population and stuff like that. You can see that start of turn asset logged, paid 11 population points for upkeep, paid all upkeep cost, did full upkeep, paid 224 population points for production, and this and that. There are governor modifies food production. I'm going to show you the governor just in a second. Production 67 food and produce 500 private food and 20 private credits. There is a situation between private things and the governmental things. So we have here upkeeps for 100% and we have production of 100%. The thing is active. You can simply, I think you can deactivate this thing. So this is the thing. So we have this, the farming dome. We have as well the scavenging community, which is going to give us metals, oil, and different stuff that is going to be useful. We see over here political points. This is credits, which is money, and we have fate points. We can use fate points for different cards that we can play. This is pretty much based on thinking in that you are on a map, on a table, and you have these cards that I'm going to show you in a little bit. These are the stratagem cards that are called here, and we have these options here. We have different cards that are going to use different things, but I'm going to talk about this in a few moments. There's a lot to talk about here. So then we have the transport hub. It's going to help us with the units, and then we have these. This is the Westcliff. Westcliff is over here, it's located over here. So this is showing everything that is in the actual area that we control, that is delimited with these dots. And then if we click here, it's going to show us just the assets in the selected hex. So you can see differences here. Assets in the selected hex, we have the helium reactor, and this helium reactor is an ancient miniature liquid energy reactor that has survived and is still semi-operational. This means that when the cataclysmic event happened and everything went to hell, this is something that was still in our moon from the ancient civilization. Let's name it ancient civilization, which is the previous civilization before the cataclysmic event. Okay, this is very useful because it's going to allow us to produce energy. How do we know how to produce energy? Well, I'm going to show you as well. So I have to show you, how do we know how to produce energy? We have in this, in the northern ruins of La Barrio ruins, we have the ability to recollect water, and I'm going to show you as well how do we know to do that? How do we know to get into the energy thing, because that has to do with technologies. Then I'm going to show you the resources that we're producing. And I'm going to show you what is the area in which you can see what is the actual weather, so you can understand if you're going to get the production that we want. And then I'm going to present you with the mayor or the governor of the polymer city. And finally, I'm going to show you all of our members of the cabinet. Okay guys, so the first thing is to show you how do we get the actual energy. So we get the energy by, if we go here to management screen, we will find the tech tab. This is the tech. This is a huge tree that we can can go through. Now we see that we have, for example, mining facility. You have research. This is the early tech that you will begin with every time that you do the generation of the planet. So it says, first, mining allows us to exploit resources deposit like metals, fuel, and water. This is the mining facility that we can use to go to those, let me show you, to go to those ruins in Alabarrier ruins, and here we can extract the water. That is for that. And then we have as well the biofuel that allows us to convert food to fuel. We have carabines, which is a basic armament for basic weapons. And then we have farming. This allows us to farm either domed or out in the open, but this is just if the atmosphere allows it. So we're going to just go for dome farming here. We have as well wind traps that allows us to harvest minute amounts of water vapor present in the atmosphere to obtain liquid water, which it's something that I don't think it's possible in this moon. Then we have the industry that allows to create industrial points need for even the most basic task of constructions of assets and equipment. We have, of course, the envirosuits and the truck logistics that is going to be used with the truck unit. And then we have recycling all machines, substances, and construction metals in ruins allow us to easily produce modest amounts of metals and fuel. So because of the recycling facility that we have with the old machines and substances and the mining facility, that's the reason we have the possibility to create energy here in the helium reactor, which is an ancient liquid energy reactor. That is, so far as I understand, that's the reason we're getting this. And with this, we're getting the metals, we're getting the oil, because we are doing the thing here, as I said before, the biofuel that allows to convert food into fuel. And that is what we are getting here with these so-called scavenging communities. Now, if you click the scavenging community, you see that these private assets are completely outside your control. They produce private economy, but pay in taxes. Okay, so this is the scavenging community. Here we see here, this is the level 1 scavenging community, and then we have this thing as I mentioned before. Here we have the high command asset that is only present in your capital zone, and it is the one that is going to produce political points that are showed here, political points. Okay, so with that being understood, now it's time to go to Polymer and meet Joan Nash. Now, this woman is in charge of 36,000 populace, and we have a free folk of 10,000 men. The free folk is wild, independent, and hidden people outside your control, living somewhere in the outbacks of the zone. They can be potential new population. These guys are living here in Westcliff. As you can see, this is the free folk. Like, for example, the 36,000 people that are living here are completely separated from the people of Westcliff. People of Westcliff are considered part of the human population, but they are not in our control. Okay? Meaning that we cannot tax them. So we have that into account, and then we have Governor Joan Nash, the Polymer state. This is the area here that we will have here: political profile, society profile, psychology profile. We have this. Of course, here we see the temperature. This is minus 15 degrees Celsius. And as we can understand here in Polymer, 15 degrees Celsius is, the normal one is 20 degrees Celsius, as you can remember, but 15 degrees Celsius, even though it doesn't mean that we are not having production, it means that we have reduced production. Here we have every hex that you click is going to show you here the temperature of the hex. Over here we have a -9 degrees. It's a little bit cold in here. On the ruins we have -9 degrees Celsius. So everything below polymer and here it's a little bit more colder. Over here in the south we have -23 degrees Celsius. And you can always go to Monia, to area Monia here, and you're going to see that the temperature is a little bit better as you go north. So you are going to have better temperatures here for a better living here. So this is something to take into account when you want to expand in the north, because over here we have better temperatures here. 0 degrees, it's a more bearable winter, I think. But all of this is because we are in winter. Just take that into account. So with that being said, I'm going to go and show you the leaders. So we have, as you can see, these guys have this red background here. This one has red, this one has gray, and this one has blue. Each of these backgrounds from these guys is because these guys are on factions. Now, who is this guy? This is Frek Deeplord. Let's meet him. Frek Deeplord is the commander of the SHQ. Here we see a little bit of information about him. We see the command rating, but most importantly, the profile. This means that he is going to be more positive with mind, psychological, with democracy and enforcement. So this guy is evidently a threat for us. He is the faction leader of the armed front, and there is 2 guys that are on the armed front, the commander of the SHQ and the advisor, Zero Quintmore, which is the advisor. This guy has a very good, it's very militant, so it has a good standing with militia and military stuff, even though he is democratic and has this other profile. You see he's a 68-year-old male, but he's part of the armed front. So this is to take into account. Those 2 guys that are democratic guys are guys that we don't want in our society. Then we have here Damian Oram. We already know who is this guy. This guy, he is not aligned, so he has nothing to do with any faction, and he is autocratic, which is something that we like. So that's good for him. And then we have Joan Nash, the governor of the of Polymer. She's a very young lady, and she is meritocratic and has very good standing with government things. And then we have these 2 guys. This is Captain Crank. Captain Crank, he is the director of the Supreme Command Council. He's autocratic, which is very good, and he is the faction leader of the Merchant Reformist Society. Okay? And then we have this guy that has not been assigned to anything. He is on the reserve pool member, which is, he's at the side, but he's like a potential guy that could be recruited into the government. He's autocratic and militant, which is very good. He is also a member of the Merchant Society. So now that we know all of these, we have met all of the people that are part of the cabinet, and now we can begin the situation here. But before doing that, just a little bit of information here. We have the units here. We have riflemen, we have machine gunners, we have motorized transport that I named it as transport trucks, and you're going to see why is this very, very important. And then we have the recon vehicle that we call these guys recon billies, the recon billies. Okay, so that's what we have here. So now let's go to the map and let's go and show the units. If you go here, you're going to see the different units. We see the first SHQ. We see here the first polymer armored battalion. This is the first polymer artillery battalion, the first polymer mobile battalion, and the second polymer guards battalion. So the guards battalion, there is a difference in this, because the guards battalion is like, for example, garrison guys that are not so good at fighting as the infantry. So that's something to take into account. Over here we see what we are producing. These are our resources. We have this amount of food. Food could mean anything that could be edible, that has been grown, on the domes. And here we see that we are getting food. Then we have 200 water. This means that the water is not bad. We're taking water from here. Then we have oil. We have ammunition for the troops. We have as well metals. Metals can be used to build things, and I think as well to build units that require metal. Then, yes, of course, here we have different trucks, irregular trucks. As you can see here, if you click here, we see as well irregular artillery. And it says here the ammo that it uses and a lot of stats. And then we have these are irregular tanks, improvised irregular tanks. All of these differ and are generally speaking based on low technology. This is, let's say, the lesser technology that we had as a society before the cataclysm. So something that we already know, something that we have. Everything has to do with the technology and how we get more and more of these things. For example, here we see the cards. I'm going to talk about the cards just in a little bit. And here we see the infantry, machine gun, and how these could be evolved into types of models. APCs, motorbike infantry. We see as well trucks, light tanks. We see medium tanks. We see heavy tanks going here, tank destroyers, monitor tanks, and walkers, heavy walkers, and then robotic infantry. You name it. You have a huge amount of technological advancements in these. Okay, let's go again. We were talking about the units. If you go to the order of battle, you can see how the first HQ is in command of every one of those. And these are the branches of each battalion, as you can see. And each battalion has its own divisions here, as you can see. That's something to take out of the equation. Just right now that we know that. In Polymer, we have the village, city level. We have population here that is growing. Now, everything that is our green triangle is good. Everything that is blue is stable, and everything that is red, it's bad. So we are, in terms of worker happiness, we're getting very good worker happiness. So that is out of the table. So the next thing is to go here to decisions. So let's begin and let's have a lot of fun here. So we're going to begin with the decisions. Ascension speech. The buzz on the street is that you are about to address the nation. For most of the people and leaders of Polymer, you are still very unknown. They need to know what you plan to do with your newly gained power. With power comes responsibility. The question on everyone's lips is, where do your sympathies lie? Now, we have a lot of options, but the one that I want, because I said from the beginning that we're going to be autocratic totalitarian, is the first one. None has our sympathies. All classes need to be subject to me. Captain Crank is going to say, I am afraid this will not go well. He is not very happy with this because he is democratic. So we are going to select no one has our sympathies. So now Damien Oram says, you have given your speech, you made it clear that you alone will be at the center of the Polymer state, and your vision of empire has fired your militia into a frenzy support. Okay. Then we have the new organization thing. There are opportunities to enlarge our administration with a new organization, and we have to select. Now, up to this point, I think this is a little bit in a fog of war for my understanding. If some of you know and can explain me, it will be much appreciated. So leave a comment and let's figure out what is happening here. By the time being, I'm going to postpone this decision, so we are not going to do anything here. And then Joan Nash is telling me that we can upgrade the village level 1 to a small town. I can either go and upgrade to a small town, but ask me later is going to cost us political points, which is something that is a waste. So good thing is that she says that she is our faithful servant. That's exactly what I want in this planet. Faithful servants. So I'm going to upgrade, and I'm going to use political points to do that, because it's pretty much, if you have 36,000 people in a village, it's not called a village. For me, that's a small town. So I'm going to upgrade the zone, and I think that now Polymer is a small town, as you can see. And then we have the next thing here. Let me see. It says the governor says danger in Polymer is at 4 points. This early in the game, this probably means enemy hexes are too close to the city. Try to conquer all hexes close to your city. Now, what she is trying to tell us is that 4 points in the fact that this is our frontier, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4 points, it is possible that enemies are around these 4-point hexes, either here, here, or here. Everything that is around here, there is potential enemies here, so it's important for us to start expanding. But there is something that I want to show you here in the area that it says Bunturspan. This is rocky plains. What I want to do is that I already know, if I click in this hex, you see this? This is telling us that this hex is controlled by the Belarus Federation. So the city of Eureka here, let me see here, it's actually this thing, the Free Folk City. So pretty much this area of Eureka is controlled by the Belarus Federation. We can see this delimitation here, that this is telling us that this area is controlled by something else. Then we see here another delimitation here. This is part of the so-called Cepharian land. And here in the north, we see the Mafario land. And exactly to the northeast, through this road after the sandy plains, we see Monia area, and this is controlled by the Landing Federation, by another federation. So I'm going to expand to the areas that are not federations. I already know that here could be some sort of activity of other humans that are near, but they are not considered part of our civilization, or perhaps they are humans, but they are not considered part of our nation. So what I'm going to do is to send the motorized vehicles into this area where it says the Theran Wastes. The reason I'm going to do that, if I go here and move, is because these guys have better movement than the troops. Now, the troops, I'm going to use the troops to go to the Bunturspan and not going to the Monia area, because I don't want to have anything to do with these guys over here. I just want to figure out where are the enemies over here. So I'm going to send the normal troops and the first polymer artillery into this area to explore here, and the expedition is going to be sent in the Theran Wastes. So that is something that is going to be important. So let's send the first polymer armored battalion with militia bikers and the recon billies to Thurn here. First, we are going to Westcliff. We're going to pass through here and then here. This guy here. Okay. And now that I have moved this guy, you can see the dotted line has been spreaded. And now we see the Thurn Wastes here. And we see that is plain rocky plains. And we have moved over here. Okay. Then we're going to move these guys. And let me see if I am going to move these guys somewhere. I think somewhere around here is going to be better. Not so likely. I'm going to move them through here. Better move them here. And then here. We have moved into this crater here. And then over here. This guy is still to the Thurn Wastes. And we have now, we see here that there is, let me show you here. We see that there is Bitbar, another free folk settlement over here. So we have moved very nicely here. I think we don't need to move further to the north into the wastes, into the wastes to the Mafario territory. I don't think we have to move here, but we see here Walker, and we see a metal Walker ancient mech has been incapacitated here, and it's a treasure trove for military researchers. Now this is tentatively on a very spicy place to move, but I'm not going just as of yet. So then I have to understand what is going to happen here. So there could be enemies all over here. We don't see enemies here, so that means that the enemies could be here. So let's start advancing our troops over here. So I'm going to move through this road. So I'm going to move first what is called the second polymer cards. So I'm going to move them through here. We see down here, we see another settlement here. This settlement is another settlement for free folk. This contains 8,000 free folk, and it's called Piofbig. Interesting name. So then let's move this guy here. I'm going to move him over here. And what else we can see here? Another area with free folk. Then have the Buntur span over here. There's nothing here. So we start 1, 2 hexes away. There's nothing. I could simply move down to the Piofbig. What I'm going to do is to move this guy here to Piofbig. There we are. If I click here and I see the unit here, you see here that it says that they have used they have 25 entrenchment. Here we have 25, experience 20, morale 80, but they have used action points. This is the amount of movement they have. This guy just have 5 action points movement, but they haven't used the supplies, so that's good. They haven't used the supplies, which is good. They are near the road, so they haven't used them. So now what I think I'm going to do is to move these guys to Eureka. There we are. We haven't used the supplies as well here. So we're getting supplies all over. So far, this is what we have. Then if we go here, we can see that we are able to build things. For example, if I want to build replace troops or new formation. Where is it? To construction. We can build here in construction, we can build agricultural domes. This is what we need to build them. It's going to cost energy, water, and workers, and then it's going to produce this amount of food. Then we have, for example, in logistics, we have truck stations. The truck stations, as it says here, at the cost of a little upkeep in oil, you'll generate truck range and truck logistical points with this asset. So we have truck station level 1, and we can increase the truck stations, which is very good. We can build supply base. Does not increase your truck range or truck logistical points, but extends cumulatively a bit further. Excellent to quickly extend the limit of your logistical network, as these bases are very rapidly built. So in one round, we can build the supply base. The supply base is going to use a little bit of fuel and 300 workers, and then we're going to have truck action points extension production per round in here, as you can see here. So these guys can move further. So it has to do with the trucks here. But there's an option here, if I remember correctly, in which you can show this shows the range in which you need operational logistics, which is everything that is green. Okay, so far so good. We have moved our troops, and basically that's it for the first turn, I believe. I'm just going to go to the strategic cards. These are cards that we can use. First of all, we have a card that says send a spy. If you click the card, you can see that we have invalid targets. You cannot target yourself. You have to find someone on the map in order to execute this card. And then we have these cards that are pretty much cards that are going to give us things. For example, this card is going to recruit a junior leader, young but relatively unskilled. Basically, you have to pay this amount of political points, 7 political points, in order to have this. We have 2 of these guys. One is increase income tax by paying 6 political points, or decrease the income tax by paying 10 political points. Of course, this card says that we can recruit a mercenary, probably at least moderately skilled. This is a huge amount of political points in order for us to recruit this. And then we have the cards that use the so-called fate points. These represent the fate of the people. For example, this one, it says that we are going to get, if we hover here, we're going to get 1,000 credits. And basically what we're going to do is to exchange fate points for credits. And here it says 50 political points. 50 political points. I need more political points, which is this one. If you need more, then this guy is going to help to gain more political points by paying 1 fate point. The truly amazing cards are these. The first one is the Ancient Archive. This means that there's a library on our moon. We are in possession of tons of ancient books and discs. We should study them. This thing is going to random discovery of a new technology field. And this is something good because we need to use, however, we need to use 4 fate points. But this card is free to use, and it's going to give us those fate points that we need. We're going to gain 2 fate points, but it's called Militia Loss of Faith. This is the talking of the militia, saying that our blood and sacrifice just benefit the powerful. Of course, it just benefits us. So we can execute this stratagem freely. So I think this is what we're going to do. The militia in Polymer had a profound crisis of confidence and a loss of faith in our common cause. The militancy is decreased by 29 and the fate points +2. Now we can see that we have 5 fate points here, and we can basically use the Ancient Archive to be able to get a new technology, but we're not going to do that as of yet. So that is concerning the stratagems. So I'm going to leave it here. Before finishing, I'm just going to click here the end turn, and we're going to see what will happen in the next turn. We have gained a bunch of political points over here, and then we gain a little bit of credits, I believe, and that's what it's happening. If we go to stratagems, we still have the same strategies that we had before. We just added, I believe, they are the same pretty much. So we have more decisions here. We're going to continue that in another chapter. And basically what we are doing is trying to explore and sending expeditionary forces and send us information about what lies beyond Polymer. This was Victus. See you in the next one.